for those teachers that are coming into communities,
Mhm.
so very important to take a look at what's the history of that school. What does the school do that's on an annual basis? Even, things like Jump Rope for Heart, things that are maybe not embedded in the culture, but are physical activity that are about strengthening our students. Do you have an annual walk for cancer that happens in your community? Is it something that you can prepare students for? Can you be involved in the 4th of July parade? What type of veterans celebrations and memorials do they have? Did they have code talkers in your community? Are there places that we're getting ready to raise a totem pole on July 24th in honor of our veterans? Because like 89% of our men were taken and drafted. So if you had 100 men, 89 of them were taken and drafted into the war. And that was when we were still Alaska Territorial Guard. We weren't even into statehood yet. So think about that. What's the deficit in the community? Well, a lot of our uncles and a lot of our dads, our brothers, and our grandfathers were at war. How many of them came back carrying trauma? How many of them returned from Vietnam and didn't receive a welcome home? How many of them didn't return from World War II, missing in action? Or how many of them came back and at that point, clan houses, we had a huge fire and our clan houses were gone, our regalias were gone. How many people are suffering with the fact that they never had those things embedded in their lives for the time that they needed them? So when we think about what are our families overcoming, the resilience that we have, because being able to focus on the positive things is really important when we're talking about trauma. I think, excuse me. I think one of the things for me that's probably one of the biggest pieces of trauma engaged work for our community is making sure that our families feel welcome in the school. And how are we doing that? We're hosting family engagement events during pandemic on Zoom. We're hosting family engagement events by classroom. We're inviting them to participate in community gardening. We are having events that are at the city park rather than just in the school. We are inviting folks to come to culture camps in the summer, and it's all families. We have some that are based on ages, but we have just a family culture camp where people come into community areas and work together collectively like we used to do a long time ago. Um, how are we engaging our families? We're valuing them. We're saying that the knowledge that you have, if it's traditional ecological knowledge, if it's cultural and ceremonial knowledge, if it's language, song and dance, if that you know the history of this community, from how many superintendents have you seen? How many mayors? How many types of things have changed? Oh, you remember before we had pavement, dirt roads? I mean, there's so much history in communities, and how amazing is it to be able to draw upon your strengths? So, if I could share one word of wisdom to anybody that's new to a community, in any community, it would be to reach out to your strengths in your community. Reach out to your elders, reach out to your culture bearers, reach out to your grandparents, reach out to your senior centers. Go up there and have lunch when they have senior centers. Volunteer to deliver meals on wheels. So many of those things are really meaningful. Be a part of your community in a way that's meaningful to you as an individual, and make sure that what you're doing is something that you want to sustain. Because a lot of times in our communities we get flash fried. People come in just a quick fry in the pan, and then there's no real dedication to that. And life changes. People are in and out of communities, and you just never know what situation coming. But for the time that you're available in that community, embrace that time. And that's how you're going to create opportunities to work through trauma. Because remember that not a lot of people in these communities have experienced um, have experienced positive outcomes from schools and even staff, so we're working towards that in our community. And I feel like we've made a lot of gains by doing fun things. It doesn't always have to be fill out this survey, come in and do this assessment. This is the testing schedule, right? It's okay to just have a community barbecue or a field day or to share in halibut. If somebody goes out and catches a halibut, invite a sixth grade class in, have them bag those things up and have them make some deliveries. One thing that we did and we've done for the last, 5, 6 years now, maybe seven actually, this might have been the seventh, is we went out every winter and we shoveled elders' driveways. And we put a post out that said, hey, if you need help shoveling driveways, stick a shovel in the back or stick a shovel at the end of your driveway or send a message and we'll come by. We took our middle school and our high school groups by, and grandparents came out and shared hot cocoa with us, tins of cookies. And so a lot of times we got the opportunity to visit with them. And during COVID, that was kind of a big thing to make sure and check in on those folks. So that's what I feel like is success. Success is when our elders are not living without. Success is when our families feel welcome in our schools. Success is when our schools extend into our home. So our homes are an extension of our classroom. I think success is when our students become our teachers. I think that success is when our students feel safe enough to have their families engage with the school. I think that that is a really, really important thing.